Did a deadly poker game leave this historical saloon haunted?
Can ghostly cries be heard in the women's bathroom?
Who or what moves objects around this ghost town bar?
Find out the answers to these questions and more as we uncover the ominous hauntings and history from Pioneer Saloon in Goodsprings, Nevada.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erica.
And this is The Haunted Atlas, a Haunted U.S. podcast.
In the interest of fully exploring history of certain locations, the Haunted Atlas may discuss sensitive or disturbing topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Just 25 miles south of the Las Vegas Strip sits the oldest bar in southern Nevada. The old brick facade pays homage to the building's history as a cornerstone of a mining town, and many say that the spirits of former customers still visit to this day. The history of Goodsprings actually dates back to the late 1800s. Joseph Good settled it and named it after himself.
Makes sense.
Exploded in the early 1900s when the expansion of the railroad made travel easier. Because if you think of how far away this is from very populated areas, it was quite a challenge to get all the way to Goodsprings.
Yeah.
Las Vegas was a major railroad hub at this point, and so Goodsprings had a reputation there. It was known as a profitable mining town. As we know from the gold rush, etc., everybody wanted to get on this mining bandwagon.
Right, yeah, out west specifically.
Yes, and it actually still has a population of over 200 people.
It's really interesting that this seems to be like locked in time.
Yeah, we often think of them, I think, as ghost towns, as completely abandoned. Like when you think of Vulture City and Mine, that was abandoned and turned into a tourist destination. So I think the fact that people still live in this town makes it a bit of an outlier in my mind as well.
Yeah.
The Pioneer Saloon was opened in 1913 by the Clark County Commissioner at the time. He also opened a hotel in 1916. The saloon has remained open throughout history, even withstanding prohibition, multiple wars, and multiple pandemics.
Do you know what they did with it during Prohibition? Was it kind of a speakeasy sort of thing?
Given its location, it was less likely to be raided.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask too, was maybe it just slipped under the radar because we are talking about the West. You did mention that it's kind of locked off from a lot of other locations. I mean, who there is really going to care that much about a saloon? Right.
That's completely just a theory about how they survived Prohibition, but I think it was probably easier for them to operate as a speakeasy. Maybe they covered as a restaurant or something in the meantime, but I think people cared a lot less. In 1942, actor Clark Gable allegedly sat at the saloon for 3 days when he learned of his wife's death due to a plane crash.
Oh no, that's so sad.
I know, but also a weird choice.
Yeah, I wonder if he had any connections to this beforehand, but I can't imagine.
I think he was just staying where he was, which was the concept. And I don't know that there's many lodging opportunities right there. So he just stayed at the saloon. And he was waiting to hear confirmation that she did board the plane, and then was waiting to see if they could recover her remains. So he knew that her plane had crashed, but he wasn't 100% sure if she had gotten on it. And then once that was confirmed that she was indeed dead, and then once it was confirmed that she was aboard the plane, he waited to see if they could find her remains to confirm that she was dead.
That must have been such a terrible, uncertain time.
Yeah, and it's 1942, so communication is not what it was today.
Right.
Think about how long it could have taken for him to hear back. Actually, 3 days is impressive.
It's really sad to me thinking that he might have had some hope at the beginning of all of it. You know what I mean? For him to like reach out and ask if she had even boarded the plane.
Right.
So, yeah, that must have been horrible.
And his wife's name was Carol Lombard. She was confirmed indeed dead in that crash. The interior of the saloon features a cherrywood bar that was actually built in Maine and then transported all the way to Nevada. It's quite a feat to transport anything that large, even today.
Yes.
So back then, that's a huge deal. And it's a nice cherrywood bar that you want to make sure doesn't get ruined in the process.
Right. I wonder if this is one of those things where, you know how people talk about how modern appliances aren't made to last as well as they did back in the, 1940s and 50s? Because obviously companies realized if they make them to last, then no one's buying another one, right? And so I wonder if this was just one of those things where this bar was so well put together that there wasn't really a risk of it falling apart.
Right. And I mean, my thought was just it getting scratched. like
Oh,
the wood getting
yeah.
scratched. But I think you have a good point there. More care was probably taken with shipping than it is now. The ceiling and walls of the saloon are still the original stamped tin. So it has a lot of the really old aspects back from when it first opened. Because it still has the original walls, there are actually some cool historical events preserved within the walls, both literally and figuratively.
Literally?
Yes.
Ooh.
One story is about a deadly card game that happened in 1915, which is shortly after the saloon opened. The poker dealer, Joe Armstrong, shot a former miner named Paul Coski for cheating. Paul ended up dying from the gunshot wound, and there are still 3 bullet holes preserved in the tin wall.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I think it's kind of crazy that you would want to preserve those because someone died in your saloon,
Yes.
but also kind of a cool part of history.
Well, see, okay, so I think cheating at that point was punishable by death. I don't know legally, but I think it just happened, right?
Yeah.
So at that time, people probably didn't care about the bullet holes. And I wonder if by the time people would have cared about someone dying in the saloon, like that was a rarity. At that point, it was so historical that they were like, we'll just keep these here.
That's true. That's a fair point. And I was also thinking, like you said, it is punishable by death. So it's a warning. And
oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's the reputation of the bar. Like, this is what happens here if you decide to cheat. Or maybe it was just too expensive to fix it.
Also true.
And no one cared.
Yeah.
Because it was the Wild West.
Yeah.
The saloon has become so famous that it's been featured in movies, TV shows, and even video games.
Really?
Yeah. Very, very cool to me.
Yes, that's so cool. Once you've made it past television and movies and into video games, I mean, that's really famous.
That's next level.
Yeah.
I agree. The saloon may not just be popular with the living. Locals and visitors alike say that ghosts like to frequent it.
Hey guys, I'm Tommy from Tommy Cullum's Let's Get Freaky podcast, where we talk to real people and have real conversations about paranormal experiences, including ghosts, cryptids, UFOs, and all high strangeness, and even a little bit of conspiracy too. So if you enjoy these freaky conversations, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And we're also available to watch on YouTube. Tommy Cullum's Let's Get Freaky.
With over 100 years of history that includes deadly poker games, it's no surprise that there are many paranormal claims about this saloon. Perhaps the most prominent ghost there is Paul.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, the cheating poker player.
Right.
Visitors and staff have said that they see Paul in the bar. Specifically, he's seen by the poker tables, which of course makes sense. When he's seen, he's often seen bleeding from his side as a full-body apparition.
That's very detailed.
Yes. Especially that multiple people have seen it. It's gruesome.
In my mind, apparitions are almost like white. And I guess that's not the case. I guess for some of them, it's like the person's actually there.
See, now, I think this comes down to your inability to imagine things. Because think of all previous episodes where we've talked about, like, a person in a purple, like a apparition in a purple dress.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking purple. You're right.
Like stuff like that, you know, like
yeah.
Many times we've said the apparition appears in like these clothes. But I wonder, you always picture it as white?
Yes.
So if I say to you, the apparition of a man appears in colonial garb, you picture it full white?
Yeah.
Interesting. I picture it in color.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, I've never actually pictured it as like a regular human being, but then like that makes sense why people get confused because if someone sees a white,
so you're
how
telling
could
me
I think that they would think that this is a real person if they were like illuminated in white? I don't know how I thought that.
You're telling me that when we talked about the USS Lexington and the tour guide apparition, you thought that people thought a man with white skin and white clothes was a live tour guide?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I've been imagining in my head. So that's fun.
Well, that's a little different than how I imagine it. I guess we would have to ask people what they see.
Yeah. Fair.
But for Paul's case, I would imagine it in color because you'd need a way to differentiate seeing the blood.
Yes, definitely. I mean, that's what did it for me. I was like, well, if it's white, but this is literally my thought process. I was like, well, if it's white blood, how do they know it's blood? And then I was like, oh, color, Erica.
It's very interesting that you've been paranormal investigating for 3 years now and hold this belief.
Yeah, I really thought I was about, like, every time we've been investigating, I have literally thought, I wonder if I'm going to see an apparition. And when I said apparition in my head, I was like a white figure.
That's really interesting. So like the stereotypical ghost.
Yeah.
Wow. That's very interesting to me. Some people say that if you sit in a chair by the bullet holes, that you'll get a strange feeling or that Paul might reach out and touch you.
Ooh.
And I think it's interesting that he would appear by the poker tables, not necessarily right by the bullet holes. I would think he would always appear right in front of the bullet holes, but I guess maybe if he's existing in that space, he was there playing poker.
Yeah, that's fair. It's sort of crazy to me that if he's stuck there, because his offense was cheating, which I realize was back then like a grave offense. But in today's world, that is not traumatic enough to lead to someone being trapped in a place, you know?
Right. That's a good point. It's definitely a victim of the time period.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that he reaches out and touches you if you are in a chair by the bullet holes, because I wonder if either you're in his chair or he's reaching out as a warning or he's just trying to get your attention and be seen. I think there's a lot of possible explanations for that.
I agree, yeah. And it's kind of hard to know which one because it's such a general feeling, you know?
Yeah, you would need to be able to ask him questions.
Yes.
In addition to Paul, there are said to be many unnamed ghosts. One that commonly appears as a full-body apparition is a prospector wearing a cowboy hat. He's said to be short in stature and seems to just sit at the bar.
And so maybe people are just having a good time.
Yeah.
You know?
And I do always wonder if these are intelligent hauntings or not. Does he just want to spend his afterlife still at the bar? Does he not realize that he's passed on and he thinks he's going about his day? Again, without engaging in communication with the spirit, it's impossible to know.
And I would also be interested to know if these spirits were able to leave the saloon. And I don't know, obviously, if people are reporting sightings outside of the saloon. And that doesn't mean that it's not happening. But because the town is still intact, it would make sense to me if they could travel in between buildings.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't see anything about them being seen elsewhere or outside of the saloon, even like on the front porch.
Yeah.
But the staff there have a theory about who he is. They think that he might be a sort of guardian of the saloon, like just overseeing the daily happenings.
That's so nice.
I know. I really like that idea. There may also be the spirit of a former owner there. Some reports say that one of the owners died on site of a heart attack and that he still oversees the bar in his afterlife.
I'm glad that he's spending the afterlife there if he chooses to. Because obviously, I assume if he was an owner, this was something that he really loved. It's sad to me, though, that he had such a traumatic death.
Yeah, I agree. It's kind of like this was the highlight of his life and his death.
Yeah.
So where else would he be if he had to pick a spot? But I think it's interesting, like you're saying, if he gets to pick where he is it because he loved it?
Right.
It could be. And I think the spirit that sits at the end of the bar, in addition to this owner, they could both be just overseeing it because they liked it there. I mean, this saloon that's out kind of in the middle of nowhere, kind of goes by its own rules. That could be a really fun place to hang out, depending on the type of fun that you like.
Right, I agree.
A common theme is that many of the spirits here are said to be tricksters, with them regularly moving objects around and sometimes quickly appearing as if intending to scare people.
Oh, that's really funny.
I know, because that's not something that we see very commonly.
No, and then that fits your theory of it being intelligent hauntings, right? Because people, obviously, if they're in a loop, they're not going to be scaring people. That's probably not what they did as live individuals. So that's so cool.
Yeah, I just picture it as like a Wild West. People were always trying to like one-up each other. And I don't know that that's factually correct, but I'm thinking of Western movies and stuff like that. People were always trying to one-up each other, and everyone was kind of buddy-buddy if they went to the same drinking area. So maybe they're like, I'm going to jump out and scare my friends, stuff like that.
Oh, or, okay, you know how when people played poker, or I think just in general, a lot of like bets happened.
Mhm.
What if they're just like playing with bets in their afterlife? Like this is the only way that they can do it. So they like try to scare, and it's like whatever currency they have that I can scare this person.
That is a really funny theory. And I'm going to tie in the previous ghosts that we've discussed. So we have the former owner, we have the cheating person,
Right.
we have the guardian of the bar. Plus, we have some other spirits that, you know, are unnamed or unidentified, all sitting around a poker table in their afterlife, being like, loser has to scare this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Oh my
like
gosh,
Monsters,
wait.
Inc.
What if because Paul cheated,
Yeah.
they've put a limit on Paul, and so he can only scare the people in his chair.
Oh my gosh.
That's the reason.
There you go. And that's why he wants people out of the chair, because he's trying to play poker with the
Right.
other ghosts.
Correct.
There we go. We've completely figured out the hauntings. I think that's interesting. The moving objects around could also be a similar thing.
Yeah.
And it really fits the whole Wild West vibes to me of the saloon.
It's still around today, so the building serves the same purpose as its history, right? And so it's kind of nice that the hauntings are also in the spirit of what the building is.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, because so many times we see buildings transition in use. These hauntings are congruent with the current purpose. There are also reports of a female crying in the women's bathroom. And although this is specifically reported at night, I think it could be because at night, very late at night, it could be quieter.
Yeah.
However, I would be interested in if it's very busy during daytime. It's my understanding that this place is normally packed. So I think to hear the sound of someone crying, you would have to be there almost after hours.
Right. That would be something that I'd want to set up. I mean, I don't know if you can catch it on a video camera, but that would be something where I would want to set up a camera or something in the bathroom during the day to see if you could hear something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder the same thing. Could we actually capture it? But also, what is up with women's bathrooms being haunted?
I don't know. It's happened so frequently.
It's so many places. I wonder why bathrooms. It feels very horror movie tropey to me.
Yes.
It's a place where you're so vulnerable. But I'm wondering if that's why they're haunted. It's a place where you can be vulnerable. So maybe these spirits were vulnerable there. And the spirit is crying.
Right.
There is a theory that persists. People think that it's Carol Lombard.
Oh my gosh, because of Clark.
Yeah, exactly. Because her husband was sitting there awaiting her death and news of her remains. So she's crying in the bathroom, overseeing it. And I wonder if it is indeed Carol, if she started the haunting shortly after her death. You know, what if her spirit kind of traveled to wherever her husband was, and then she was so upset that she was crying because he, you know, is waiting to hear if she died or not. So I wonder if this haunting is from the 40s.
I'm also wondering if the crying happened after he left. Like, what if she was trying to communicate with him while he was there for the 3 days, and then when he left, it was like, that's it.
Yeah, and it's now really over.
Yeah.
That's a good point, too. It could be. And now she's just stuck there with Paul and the owner and the guardian and the tricksters.
Right.
And maybe she doesn't want to jump out and scare people or play poker.
Right.
I love the running theory. One of the most interesting hauntings to me is that there's an old-timey telephone on the property, and it serves only as decoration. It's not plugged into the wall.
Right.
However, it is known to ring.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and people will pick it up and hear nothing because it's not plugged in.
Right.
But I think it's such an interesting concept, and I think running with our theory of the spirits intelligently haunting and intermingling, I wonder if it is them waiting for a call of someone to join the poker game, or it's tied to Carol and it's about Clark waiting to hear about her plane crash and remains.
I think either theory makes sense in this context, to be honest.
Initially, I thought, oh, maybe it's just someone calling the bar, you know, or just the spirit activating the phone to try to get attention, or not in a bad way, just to get attention, catch someone's attention. But I really think it's most likely, in my opinion, linked to Carol. Any final thoughts?
This is a really fun one. I like talking about this. I think it's so cool that it's still in business.
Yeah, I think that's really cool too, to have survived prohibition and stuff like that. That really is a testament to how much people love this place. So it's not surprising to me that people haunt it.
Yeah.
If you've been to the Pioneer Saloon, we would love to hear your stories. And if you loved it, you can email us at theteam@hauntedus.com and include Haunted Atlas episode 22 in the subject, or find us on social media at Haunted US. Tune in to our next episode to see where we drop the pin on our adventure across the Haunted US. This episode of Haunted Atlas was presented by Sarah Sweeney and Erica Barrett. It was researched by Sarah Sweeney, with production assistance by David Sweeney. Music by Colleen Johnson. Our executive producer is Brandon Rugsey. Haunted Atlas is a production of Haunted US. Visit hauntedus.com for more information.